Oh, just needed to feel something. Haven't been touched in weeks! So dating was already pretty hard before the worst global pandemic in a century hit us. But now that social distancing might be around for a few months or even a few years, are single people just screwed? Don't fall off the ledge. So I'm just outside LA at Mount Disappointment, a place that appears to be named after my dating life, to talk about the future of dating in a global pandemic. We weren't strangers to dating apps even before there was a global pandemic. They've had a tendency to make our lives more difficult. But what if what we learned about ourselves through all of this could actually make us better at dating? When we asked you in an informal poll on Instagram, 76% of you said that technology had made dating a difficult experience. And in the last year, 73% of you said that you'd been ghosted by someone you met on a dating app. In other words, before the coronavirus hit, we had become flaky, non-committal, and trapped by the illusion of endless choice. So now that the entire world has changed, it begs the question, if dating could have a reset button, what could it look like? To try and get some answers, I invited best-selling author and dating coach Matthewhussey to Mount Disappointment. But he's been a little bit busy helping people date during a global pandemic, so we settled for a meetup in his backyard in LA. Matthew explained that there are 3 ways that a deadly virus could actually improve your dating life. First, he said it gives us an opportunity to nurture the most important relationship in our life, our relationship with ourselves. Next, he said it should help us understand that there are ways of being intimate and sexual, even without touching. And lastly, he said this could help us realize what our bad relationship habits are, so that maybe we can start to break them. Is this proving to people that actually the relationship that you have with yourself is probably the most important relationship in your life?
It certainly is the most important relationship in the sense that it will define how you treat other people. Just being kind to people is everything, but it's hard to show the full extent of your love and kindness when you have a bad relationship with yourself. And the elephant in the room for a lot of people right now is they already felt they were on a time crunch. I don't feel like this conversation is being had enough even in normal times. Is the fear that time frame creates in people, and then the bad decisions that get made as a result. Suddenly, when's there going to be a vaccine is a question that's relevant to my entire future.
Matthew also said that this could mean that we show up in more authentic ways online, in dating apps, which weren't always spaces that allowed for that. Now that men on dating apps, like, you have to kind of talk, and that might be the thing that you do for a while before you actually get physical, it's made dating kind of harder, but then the guys who do want to go through the effort of talking to you, then it kind of tells you he's really interested.
What may be true is the guys who just want sex are easier to spot right now. In some ways, there are new challenges this year, but no one told you you couldn't have a love life. All the eligible single people out there in the world didn't disappear.
Matthew even made a distinction between having sex and being sexual.
Holding someone's attention right now, you don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with, but not acknowledging the sexual side of the relationship right now, you'll pay the price for it because people will not feel like they have that kind of connection with you, and we all want to feel sexy. It's not just we want to have sex, we want to feel sexy. How do we date in a moment like this where we are used to having, I don't know, waiting a couple weeks before revealing our very, very vulnerable selves, right? To me, the game is being played now on, do you have a voice that stands out? Because that's what's going to separate you. And when you do message someone, remember, they might be getting 20 first messages. One thing that I love that you've said is, like, don't do fancy on dates. What could be more boring than going out for a walk with someone without even holding their hand, right? I'm seeing you on Zoom or FaceTime, but isn't this so frustrating? Yeah, it is. Don't you wish we could see each other? I kind of do. Well, could we maybe, you know, just like go for a walk or something? I mean, we could stay 6 feet apart, right? You wear a mask, I wear a mask. Hang on, you can't hear me right now. That's how people end up in bed together. Right. Is a series of, like, little moments. It's not one moment, it's a series of tiny miniature decisions. Right. A lot of people are still trying to meet people, but there is this moment of pause where we might have time to lay out those truths, like, oh, actually, this doesn't make me happy, right? And the people I'm choosing and the people I'm attracted to are not the people that are good for me. People should use this as an interesting opportunity to say, okay, maybe it's different this year, but have I ever dropped my pride enough to make things happen in my love life? Is that really a problem of this year? Or is that something that's always been an issue for me?
In other words, Matthew's advice for desperate singles out there is to be vulnerable, to be yourself, and not to worry about being awkward, because everyone else is also a global pandemic virgin.
You know what this means, right?
What?
You have to do it now.
Do what?
Go on a social distance date. Show us how easy it is.
I'll go on a social distance date. I'll do it. I'll go on a social distance date right now. It's that way. Who wants to go on a date? Available single woman in her 30s. So I decided to put my money where my mouth is and go on an authentic, awkward social distance date. We went on 2 FaceTime dates first, and then we decided to take things to the next level and meet in person, with masks and staying 6 feet apart, of course. He brought wine, and I brought wipes. It was a match made in heaven. It wasn't awkward. Actually, it was kind of perfect. And one social distance date turned into a few more not so socially distanced dates. So maybe love is possible, even in the era of COVID. Maybe wearing a physical mask forces us to remove our figurative ones a little bit faster and makes us be more vulnerable a little bit more quickly. So Matthew was right. Dating may never be the same. But maybe that's a good thing.
So while you're watching the credits roll along, I just want to point out a fun fact. The date I went on was real, okay? It was not a setup. He let me film it like a champ. And, you know, the moral of the story is you never know when it's gonna happen. And if you go on a date with me, you better come camera ready.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.